Steve Scalise calls on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to stand up to her Twitter followers for sending inappropriate tweets. You expect her to police her Twitter followers. All right. Congressional members Steve Scalise and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got into a bit of a Twitter debate this weekend over the latter's suggestion during a 60 Minutes interview in which she suggested a marginal tax income rate of 70% for anything over the first $10 million in a given year. The back and forth was a civil policy discussion until some of AOC's Twitter followers chimed in with remarkably inappropriate comments directed towards Scalise, who survived being shot. Some on Twitter who appeared sympathetic added Twitter comments that mocked Scalise's near-death experience, like, snipe his ass, and she's got better aim than the now-deceased shooter. So the Republican bowed out of the discourse and encouraged a House floor discussion with the New York Progressive. If somebody wants to have a debate about policy, that is what we're all about, Scalise said, adding, this is what the First Amendment is all about, but you shouldn't threaten people. If you have to threaten people to make your point, you have already lost. All right, so those tweets that they reference in the article, were those shitty tweets to send? Yeah. Steve Scalise is a terrible politician, but if you're going to debate the guy or if you're going to jump into a Twitter thread, you don't need to make comments about how he got shot. You really don't need to do that. On the same note, first of all, it's not AOC's job to police her Twitter followers or anybody's Twitter followers. She is responsible for one person on Twitter, herself. Just like Steve Scalise is responsible for one person on Twitter, himself. Another thing I'll add, I find it hard to believe that none of his supporters weren't saying shitty things about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I find that very, very hard to believe, considering that, you see so many right-wing smears on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that are just insulting and ageist and sexist and, racist on a daily basis, to the point where they try to look at her dancing and having fun. How evangelical can you get? We've got her now. Here's her dancing and having fun. I always said I can never run for office. I can never do it because, again, bringing it back to Ron in high school, if they ever found that High School Musical footage of me, it's way too embarrassing. It's just way too embarrassing. She was a good dish. She was talented. You guys have all seen the video by now. She's a talent. Me, not so much. If they were ever, if someone on the right was ever like, we got to smear this progressive Ron Placone, they're like, and they found high school footage of me in Oklahoma or Anything Goes or what other musicals did I did Footloose. Which they're trying to recreate. They're trying to recreate that now. They're trying to. It's the Kevin Bacon insult. That's what it was. What they did to AOC. But yeah, that footage of me, way too incriminating. If that ever surfaced, I don't know. I should probably just put it all out now. I have no desire to ever run for office though, so I don't need to worry. I always tell people whenever people tell me I should run for office, which does happen, and I find it very flattering. But whenever people tell me, Ron, you should run for office, I'm like, look. Politics is a dirty, dirty game, and I prefer to stay in an industry that has a lot of integrity, like show business. I prefer to stay there. All right, so anyway, that's my take on that.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and